Hey guys, I've got a killer 80s metal style riff for you today, and this is going to remind you of bands like Dokken, Ratt, Cinderella, maybe a little touch of Queensryche in there. So I'm going to share this with you, and actually, let's have Gunnar play the riff. Gunnar's going to play the riff, and then I'm going to teach you how to play it. Alright, so we're going to get right into this lesson here. I'm going to show you all the components of this riff. But real quick, make sure you hang around to the end of the video. We're actually going to have Gunnar play a guitar solo to this rhythm. I want to hear what he comes up with. So that'll be at the end after the lesson. Oh, and real quick, to my Patreon members, I will have the tabs and backing tracks for this lesson here. That's actually available to you right now. If you're not on my Patreon, there is a link in the description of this video. So I want to break this down into the two sections. Actually, I'm going to play the whole thing for you again, and then we'll break it down into the two sections. And understand, before we get into this, more so than you learning the actual riff note for note, I'm more concerned about you getting the concepts that we're about to go over. And there's a lot of little golden nuggets throughout this riff. So let me play the entire riff for you, and then we'll break everything down. Here is the first section again, okay? Now, what gives this riff that really edgy 80s metal, radish, Dokken-ish, Cinderella-ish sound are those power chords that we're playing on the D and the G strings, those higher notes. You see, as metal guitar players, we tend to play on the heavier notes, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I like you to venture out and play in some different areas now and then. Okay, so those types of chords are what gives us that edgy sound. Along with, that was point number one I wanted to make about these chords. Along with point number two, the types of power chords. So we're not playing just regular power chords. So what we would be playing is an F and a G. So A, F, G. Let me just play through those real quick. Just that alone sounds kind of cool. You can hear the vibe coming out of those power chords played on those strings. It's that 80s hair band, that hair metal vibe. But again, those two power chords that we're playing there on frets 3 and 5, and then we slide up to 5 and 7 on the D and the G strings, we're playing a variation of those power chords, okay? So here's what I'm playing. Let me go through this really, really slow and just watch my fingers here. Okay, so what I did, instead of playing frets 3 and 5, I started on frets 3 and 4. Then I went to 3 and 5, okay? So I do a similar thing when we go to the G chord, which we'll go to right after that. Normally for that G power chord, we would be on frets 5 and 7. Instead, we start out on frets 5 and 4, then we go to 5 and 5. So again, that gives us a really wicked sound. And of course, you grab the palm mutes that I'm doing in between that on the A. And again, I'll go through this again slowly, okay? After that, we do a really simple playing a D chord, playing a really, a little bit heavier style D chord here. And how I do that, let me just play it for you. That's a 5-string D there. So I'm not starting with a D note, that open D string. I'm starting with the open A string. Why? Well, I can do that because that's, or you can do it too, because that's the 5th note of the D power chord. It is in the chord there, right? It's in the chord structure. So starting with that heavier A string fits with that D string, even though you're playing a D. And I don't fret that last note. I leave that last string open there. So listen to the difference of the Ds. pretty big difference. One sounds like a country song, the other sounds like an 80s metal song, okay? So after I let that chord ring out just a little bit, I do this cool little riff, and it's just a C and a G note that I'm playing there, playing the 3rd fret A string, then 3rd fret E string, and then go back to that A. So let me go through this very slow for you again, and then we'll start on the second part of this really killer 80s metal riff. Alright, so let's learn the second part of this killer 80s hairband riff here. Everything stays the same up to the point where we get to the G chord, which again we're playing on the D and the G strings here. So the A power chord that we're playing, then we do that F the same way, doing the exact same thing again until I get to the G. Now what we did in the first round is we started out playing frets 5 and 4, then 5 and 5 for that G power chord there on those strings. This time we're actually going to start out 5-5 to 5-7, which makes the complete power chord. So I'll play the difference real quick so you can hear the contrast here. Next, we carry that same thing just up 2 frets, a whole step here, okay? So we carry it all the way up here, which we go to an A at this point, right? So we're going to do the same thing there as well. I just played that part because I kind of want you to get used to playing that. It's a really cool way to change up your power chords. You know, you bar those notes and then you come down to the full power chord. Just a really cool way that you can play those differently. Now after we do all that is when we do something really cool with what's called inverted power chords. All an inverted power chord is instead of playing the actual power chord itself, it's a variation of a power chord. You're going to start that on not the root note, but the 5th note of that power chord, and you're going to play the octave, right, the higher octave of the root note with that, and that gives you that edgy sound. So let me go through this riff slowly, and I'll play it at what we call the normal speed. I think it's like 137 BPM, something like that. So here we go. One quick thing I didn't point out, when I'm playing the inverted power chords, going from one to the other, the 7th fret here to the 5th fret here, I do a palm mute, a quick palm mute of the open A string there. Alright Gunnar, so you ready for the solo, dude? I think that means yes. He doesn't talk very much. Before we get to Gunnar solo though, I do have a free metal guitar practice guide. It's kind of like a mini course type thing. Got downloadable tabs, all that good stuff. If you don't have that free guide, there is a link in the description of this video. Grab that free guide. If you already have the free guide, I've got guitar courses. I've got 2 out there now. I just released my metal guitar course for beginners called Metal Guitar Apprentice. That's out there. If you're not a beginner, then of course there's Metal Riff Master, and that's where you learn 80 plus heavy metal riffs and a lot of other good stuff in that course. So check all those links out in the description of this video. Spend some time in there. And those are just things I put out there for you to help you make progress faster. All right, let's hear what Gunnar has. that was cool. That was pretty good. Guys, what did you think about Gunnar's solo? Leave me a comment in the comment section. He tried to keep it 80s, keep that vibe in there. I think he did a pretty good job. So guys, thank you so much for watching my videos. I appreciate you guys being a part of my channel, a part of my guitar community. I can't express that enough. You guys, you support me, and again, thank you for that. So don't forget to check out all the links in the description of this video, the free guide, the guitar courses I have out there now, a lot of good stuff for you. Of course, if you want the backing tracks and tabs to this lesson, jump on my Patreon. I've got just one tier level plan there. I keep it simple. So check those out. That's in the description of this video. And also leave a comment if you have any questions about the riff, about the techniques that we went through in this lesson. Maybe throw out some of the names of the songs, the 80s metal songs this reminds you of. I was just thinking Dokken, Ratt, and Cinderella. All three of those bands just came to mind, playing those types of chords that we're playing on those lighter strings there. And again, maybe some hints of some Queensryche in there as well. Guys, again, thank you. You know what to do. Until the next video, keep it metal.